It is a warm night in Chapel Hill in early September 2012. Cicadas buzz in the trees outside a small apartment complex near campus. Windows are open to catch whatever air will move. A street light flickers at the end of a quiet parking lot where cars sit close together, still holding the heat of the day. Inside one apartment, a phone lights up on a bedside table. By morning, the town will be talking about a room most people never noticed before. Chapel Hill lives on a narrow seam between college life and small-town routine. Coffee shops that open before sunrise for students who stayed up too late. Side streets that empty out after midnight. A campus that feels like its own city, pressed up against neighborhoods where everyone recognizes the same mailboxes and porch lights. On September 7th, 2012, Faith Hedgepeth, a 19-year-old student at the University of North Carolina, spends the evening with friends. They move between apartments, listening to music, talking, deciding where to go next. Late that night, Faith and her roommate, Karima Christmas, return to their place at the University Apartments complex. The building is quiet. Most lights are off. Sometime before morning, something changes inside that space. When Karima wakes and tries to reach Faith, there is no response. She steps into Faith's room. Then she steps back out and calls for help. The system begins. Chapel Hill police arrive. Yellow tape goes up in a parking lot that usually only sees bicycles and delivery trucks. Officers move through the apartment, documenting what is there and what is not. Faith has been unalived by a single gunshot. On a table, a piece of paper is found with a handwritten message. Its words are unsettling, its meaning unclear. The town wakes up to news helicopters instead of birds. Students gather in small groups on sidewalks, phones in hand. Parents call from out of state. Professors pause classes to talk about safety. Being seen feels like protection, even when it isn't. Investigators begin building a timeline from the night before. Who was with Faith, where she went, which doors were locked, which cars were in the lot. They look at phone records, text messages, social media posts that stop at a certain hour. The name that stays close to the center is Karima's, not as a suspect, but as the last person known to be with Faith. Police interview friends, neighbors, anyone who might have heard a sound in the early hours. The handwritten note becomes a focus. Analysts study the ink, the paper, the phrasing. It does not lead to a person. The case spreads beyond Chapel Hill. National outlets pick it up. True crime forums begin pulling apart every detail of the timeline. The town feels watched in a way it never has before. Months turn into years. Detectives revisit old tips. New leads come in. Most of them go nowhere. In 2016, investigators release audio from a 911 call made the night of the unaliving. They hope someone will recognize a voice in the background. No one does. The file stays open. Chapel Hill keeps its rhythm. New students arrive each fall. They learn Faith's name during orientation sessions alongside instructions about campus shuttles and late-night safety services. Her story becomes part of the town's memory. In 2021, almost 9 years later, the system changes pace. Chapel Hill police announce an arrest. The name is Taheem Williams, also known as Rosser. DNA from the crime scene is matched using genetic genealogy, tracing a profile through public databases and family trees until it leads to him. The case that once relied on handwritten notes and phone records now rests on a strand of genetic code. Williams is charged with first-degree unaliving. The courtroom becomes the next stage. Prosecutors lay out the evidence, the DNA match, the timeline, the movements around the apartment complex. The defense challenges the chain of custody, the methods used to identify him. The jury listens to years compressed into days of testimony. In 2023, Taheem Williams is convicted and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The legal file closes, but the apartment complex does not change. Cars still fill the same parking spaces. Students still carry groceries up the same stairs. The room where Faith lived is just another door in a row of doors. The records show lab reports, trial transcripts, sentencing documents. They do not show the vigils held on the quad, the way her family and friends kept her name in circulation when the case went quiet, the way a town learned how long a question can sit without an answer. Chapel Hill continues its routines. The bell tower still rings on campus. Coffee shops still fill with laptops and conversations. The calendar keeps moving even when one September night stays marked in a police file and in the memory of a community. What remains is not just a conviction. It is the path from a small apartment to a national search, from a handwritten note to a line of genetic code, a reminder of how many years can fit between a moment and a name, and how a town can keep walking past the same door, carrying a story that took almost a decade to find its ending.